So, here we are in 2026, and let's be honest, the mental health landscape for young people is, well, it's more complicated than ever. Between the digital world and global pressures, figuring out why is a real mess. But what if we could use AI not just as another distraction, but as a tool to actually understand what's going on? All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, this is the big question, right? Why are our young people feeling so alone? It's a heavy topic for sure, but we absolutely have to find some clarity. And today, we're going to use some pretty incredible new tools to hunt for answers in all the latest research.
Okay, let's just start with a number. A big one, 35%. According to the data we've got, that's the jaw-dropping rise in diagnosed anxiety among young people just since the early 2020s. This isn't just a vague feeling. It's a measurable crisis, and it's screaming for our attention.
You know, to really get this, we have to wrap our heads around a new term researchers are using, mediated social lives. It perfectly describes this world we're in, where the sheer number of digital pings, likes, and follows has totally dwarfed the quality of real person-to-person connection.
So faced with this massively complex crisis, where do you even begin to look for answers? Well, for this explainer, we went on a bit of a research quest to find some clear signals inside all of that noise.
And the challenge was huge. We're talking over 600 pages of brand new, super dense reports from some of the world's top health organizations. Trying to connect the dots on that by hand would take weeks, maybe longer. So we thought, let's see if an AI tool like NotebookLM can help us speed things up.
We decided to really put its deep research mode to the test. The whole idea was to feed it the best sources we could find and see if it could pull together a coherent picture of what's really happening.
And we weren't just feeding it random blog posts, we used the heavy hitters, the JED Foundation's 2026 Trends Report, the World Health Organization's Global Youth Report, and a really important statistics sheet from UNICEF. This way, our entire analysis is built on solid, credible data.
Now, here's a crucial thing about working with AI. The quality of your question completely changes the game. We didn't just ask something vague like, why are kids lonely? We gave it a really precise prompt. What are the primary drivers of isolation in Gen Z and Gen Alpha, specifically in 2026? Being specific is everything.
Then just like that, after chewing through all 600 of those pages, NotebookLM started to connect the dots. The main drivers of this crisis began to pop out with, honestly, surprising clarity, and every single point was cited right back to the original source.
And boom, this is what it pulled out. 3 main things kept showing up again and again. First, algorithm-induced comparison, that constant draining pressure from seeing everyone's perfect life online. Second, the shrinking of physical third spaces. Think about it, parks, community centers, malls, places outside of home and school where teens used to just hang out. And third, this thing called the perfectionism trap. This intense pressure to be perfect that leaves absolutely no room to be human, to be vulnerable, or to fail.
Okay, so a list is great, but there's so much more to it, right? To really dig in and understand the nuance, we used another cool feature, an interactive audio overview. It let us explore the complexities in a much more conversational way.
So check this out. The tool created this simulated debate, kind of like a mini podcast, between 2 AI hosts. And here's the key. Their arguments were based only on the reports we uploaded. One host was arguing that a decline in teen dating is a big driver of isolation, but the other argued the data shows something more nuanced, a shift in priorities.
But here is where it gets really powerful. It's not just a recording you listen to. I could literally interrupt the AI with my own voice to go deeper. So I just jumped in and asked, wait, stop. Does the data actually say this is a bad thing, or is it just a different way of doing things now? I got to steer the conversation in real time.
And the answer it gave back was honestly pretty amazing. It didn't give a simple yes or no. It said, great question, and then explained that the data suggests it's a mix, that avoiding romance might lower some risks, but it also limits what one report called vulnerability training. All those awkward but essential experiences that build real emotional strength.
Okay, so understanding is one thing, but if you're a parent, a teacher, anyone who cares, what do you do with this information? The most critical step is turning all this insight into actual, real-world action.
And this is exactly how. With one click, I had the tool export what's essentially a mental health first aid guide. It created flashcards on how to spot warning signs, like a kid suddenly losing interest in hobbies. It made a custom little assistant I could ask for advice. It even drafted a summary I could take to a parent-teacher meeting. All of it 100% based on those credible sources.
So, think about that. We went from hundreds of pages of super complex research to a practical, useful toolkit that anyone can use. It's about closing that massive gap between academic studies and the people on the ground who desperately need that info to help.
And that really brings us to the big picture here. This isn't just about one cool piece of software. It's about finding a whole new way to approach and understand the massive challenges our youngest generations are up against.
And really, this is the whole point, isn't it? The same kind of AI that powers those feeds that cause so much comparison and anxiety can be used for something else. We can make a choice to use this technology not to mindlessly scroll, but to genuinely understand, to build empathy.
So I guess the question I want to leave you with is this. As these incredible new tools get better and better, how do we make sure we're using them not to replace human connection, but to strip away all the noise and help us build a much, much stronger foundation for it?